Wednesday. You know what's happening today after school. Tutoring with lots of snacks, right? So make sure you go to Star Tutoring today after school. That would be super cool, right? Right? Now, these 3 assignments are going to be due. I mean, they are due. You want to turn them in. And next Wednesday we have a quiz. And today we're going to make life a little easier. Last 2 days, kind of tough, right? Lots of steps. Today I'm showing you how you could use the calculator on Desmos to help you out. Technically, I kind of already showed you this, but I'm making sure you know today. And part of it is in this warm-up. So can you graph x squared plus 4x minus 5? Okay. So even if you don't type y equals, if you just type it in, it'll graph it for you. Okay. Now look, when you graph it, everyone knows how to type it into Desmos, right? When you type it in, you're looking for the x-intercept. Now it looks like -5 and it looks like 1, but if you actually click it, it's going to pop up with the number. So you can for sure know what the x-intercept is. Does everyone see what it is right here? You got to look. Hey. There it is. Take it out. Look away. Where's your warm-up sheet? You get one. First order. Did it? No. Headphone. Phone. Tell me. Now, the x-intercept over here on the left is -5, 0. And the one on the right over here is 1, 0. Cool? That's it. What we just did, finding the x-intercept, is the shorter version of doing all those steps, setting it equal to 0 and solving and getting those final 2 numbers, okay? Now, I know this is a lot easier, but I do have to teach you factoring, so I did. And you do need that in the future, Algebra 2, etc. So, factoring is great. If you're still stuck on yesterday's assignment, you're going to be able to use what we learned today, which is kind of what we just did on the warm-up. Graph it. What's the x-intercept? But you got to know this bottom part. So everyone lock in right here at the bottom. Another name for x-intercept is roots. Sometimes they're going to say, what are the roots? And what do they mean by roots? X-intercept. Sometimes they're going to ask you for the zero, the zeros. What does 0 mean? It's the x-intercept. And then the most common, you got a warm sheet. Paper. Like this. In the blue band if you need it. Okay, but the most important one you got to know, everybody, is solution. Solutions. So if you see the word solve, solving means solution, and solution means x-intercept. You have to know this. I am going to say it again. You have to know this. When you see the word solve or you see the word solution, all that means is what's the x-intercept? And can't you get that easily by graphing it? Yes! Okay, so the shorter version of doing this that you're allowed to do on the STAR test is graph it, x-intercept, okay? Now, if you see the word root, you got to know root means x-intercept solution. What does 0 mean? X-intercept solution. What does x-intercept mean? Solution. What does solution mean? X-intercept. What does x-intercept mean? Root. What does root mean? 0. What does 0 mean? Solution. What does solution mean? Okay. They all mean the same thing. Cool? So again, I hope you're hearing me, seeing me do this little song and dance over here. That this means this means this means this. They all mean the same thing. Cool. Now, what we're going to do is some really quick notes. It's one-sided, it's super short, and technically we just did example 1 on the warm-up. So we're like already almost done. Okay? Okay, let's look at these notes. All right, so this should look familiar. We just did this one on our warm-up. When we graphed it, it looks like this, right? 1 and -5. Now here's the question. How many solutions is that? So here's one, here's one. How many solutions is that? 2, right? There's -5, there's 1, 2 different solutions, okay? The quadratic parabola, this type of function, makes a U shape, so doesn't that make sense that it would cross twice? I mean, makes sense, right? And what are those solutions? Just like from our warm-up, -5, 0, 1, 0. Now here's something new. Last 2 days, we would factor first, then find the solution. When you graph, it's the solution first, and then you could find the factors. Now, do you remember yesterday and the day before? Our last step would be to set it equal to 0, and when you solve, you do the opposite, and it ends up with the opposite sign, okay? So when you're finding the factors, you have to use the opposite plus / minus sign. So you put 2 parentheses, you got to put x. The opposite of this -5 is +5. Insiders lie, right? So it's the opposite sign. And the opposite of this +1 is -1. Again, last 2 days, when we got to that point, we set it equal to 0 and solved, and it ended up with the opposite sign. So it kind of makes sense that the factors and the solutions have opposite signs, okay? Now real quick, off to the right, you could graph this in Desmos, but it's already pictured here, so let's just look at this picture. If you graph this into Desmos right here, it looks like this. I am not asking you a trick question. Your eyes are not tricking you. But answer my question. How many solutions does this graph have? And remember, solution means x-intercept. Where does this red parabola touch this x-axis right here? And there's a space between here because it does not touch. Do y'all see that? It's on your paper too. This parabola does not touch this x-intercept. So this is one of those weird situations where there's no solution. So go ahead and put no solution. And if it asks you for the solution, that's going to be none. And if there's no solution, there's no factors. None. Okay? If your graph doesn't touch x, no solution. Okay? Now, that's pretty much it. You kind of understand. We're going to do 2 quickly on the bottom here. Now, there's no graph for us, so we're going to use Desmos. So first off, f of x, you can just put y equals x squared minus 2x plus 1. Now this is interesting. How many times does it touch the x-axis? 1 time. You'll see that? Like sometimes it's just going to only intersect at the vertex, the change in direction, okay? So this is a weird situation where there's 1 solution. So the solution we're going to put is 1, 0. Now this is weird. There has to be 2 solutions. So what happens when there's 1 solution? That means your factor repeats, okay? So when you have 1 solution, your factor repeats. What do I mean? Well, if the solution is +1, my factor is going to be -1. And since there's not another solution, I'm going to repeat it because I have to have 2 factors. So if I only have 1 solution, but I need 2 factors, I write that 1 solution twice. That's the tricky trick when there's 1 solution, right? Hey, Now, last one real quick and I'll be done. Let's go ahead and type in x squared minus 10x plus 16. So here's number 2 at the bottom. I graph it. I see that it crosses twice. 2 solutions at 2, 0 and 8, 0. What do I got to do? Write those as factors with x, but insiders lie. You change the sign. Positive 2 is now negative 2. Positive 8, negative 8. That, my friends, is it. Okay? That's your notes. So I'm going to leave it on here. Okay? You can refer to it. I'm going to pass out a quick assignment. Again, if you can just graph it, look at the x-intercept, you're good. Remember yesterday's assignment? That was kind of crazy. If you didn't finish it, now see if you can finish it using this information. See if you can use graphing. Maybe that'll help you at least do the multiple choice faster, right? I would still like yesterday's assignment to be done number 1 through 4 with factoring, but do what you can. Again, you need to finish these 3 assignments, 2 from before the break, 1 from the last couple of days, and the one I'm about to give you. And if you have test corrections, you either did them yesterday or you're going to do them today. That's our priority. All right, here we go.